Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So I'll start with Mangalacharan and then we will discuss third canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurau Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschat Deshtari. Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone. I usually avoid doing online classes. I think it's not the it does not give that same feel as when we meet in person. But today's circumstances are such that we'll be doing this online. So last time we discussed Canto 2 of Shrimad Bhagavatam. So today we will start with Canto 3. So Canto 2 had a lot of philosophical concepts. How is this material world created? The prayers of Lord Brahma. Then we discussed how to leave our body at the time of death. So there were important philosophical concepts. Now, in third canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam, again, you know, there are a lot of important philosophical concepts, but they come in the form of stories. So they are more palatable, they are more easily understood. So today we will try to discuss the first two chapters of third canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam, and in these two chapters there is a conversation between Vidur and Uddhav. So we all know Vidur Maharaj. He was the younger brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu. So he was the हाँ हाँ शायद आपके यहाँ से echo आ रहा है जैन साहब. So I couldn't hear it properly. You were saying something.
Let me.
हाँ हाँ
It was Dasiputra.
हाँ correct. So he was the younger brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu Maharaj. So he was the uncle of Pandav and Kauravas. And Uddhav is the cousin brother of Krishna. So Nanda Maharaj, Vasudev had a brother Devabhag, and Uddhav was the son of Devabhag. So he was the cousin brother of Krishna. So there is a very interesting conversation between the two of them in these in the first 3 chapters. We'll be doing the first 2 chapters. Okay. So Canto 3 of Shrimad Bhagavatam, first chapter, text 1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Evametat Pura Prishto Maitreyo Bhagavan Kila Kshatravanam Pravishtena Tyaktva Swagrihimitimat. So King Vidur Shukdev Goswami said, after renouncing his prosperous home and entering the forest, King Vidur, the great devotee, asked this question of his grace, Maitreya Rishi. So Shukdev Goswami is introducing this concept that Vidur asks a question to Maitreya Rishi. Now, in text 3, Shukdev Goswami asks that where did this conversation happen? So the actual conversation is between Vidur and Maitreya Rishi, but the prelude to that is a conversation between Vidur and Uddhavji. Vidur first meets Uddhav Maharaj. They have a conversation and then Uddhavji directs him to Maitreya Rishi. So then Vidur Maharaj goes to Maitreya Rishi and they have a conversation. Okay, so it works like that. So in text 3, the king, Parikshit Maharaj, he asked Shukdev Goswami that where and when did this meeting take place between Vidur and Maitreya Rishi? Please tell this to me. Dono kaha mile? Vidur Maharaj and Maitreya Rishi, where did they meet? So in text 4, Shukdev Goswami says, why am I interested in this conversation? Because a lot of people have conversations, in the streets, everyone is conversing with one another. So why am I interested in the conversation of Vidur and Maitreya Rishi? Nahi alpartho dayastasya vidurasyamalatmana tasmin variyasi prashna sadhu vadopabhrumita. Because Vidur amalatmana, he is a pure devotee of the Lord. And therefore, whatever he must have discussed with Maitreya Rishi must have been purposeful on the highest level and approved by learned circles. Variyasi prashna. The questions Vidur Maharaj would have asked Maitreya Rishi will not be ordinary. On the streets, ordinary people talk ordinary topics. What's happening in the neighborhood, what's happening in your life, what's happening in the world, what's happening in politics, and nowadays, what is the weather like? Okay, so people are discussing these topics. But Vidur Maharaj, he is a great devotee of the Lord. So he will ask questions which are variyasi, which are on the highest level, and sadhu vadopabhrumita, which are approved by sadhu, which are approved by the saintly people. So he is not going to ask any nonsensical questions. Being a pure devotee himself, he is only interested in topics which are of interest to other pure devotees. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj at the time of his death does not want to listen to conversations between ordinary people, between husbands and wives, or between politicians and their constituencies. He is not interested in that. He wants to hear what Vidur Maharaj and Maitreya Rishi spoke. So Suta Vacha. So hearing this, Shukdev Goswami became very happy with Parikshit Maharaj, and he told him, Shruyatam iti. I will tell you about their conversation. Please listen attentively. Spiritual life begins with Shruyatam, with hearing. We may not see God, but the process of seeing God begins with hearing. When we hear about Krishna, then we become interested to have darshan of the Lord. Okay. So he says, okay, listen to what I am saying. Shri Shuka Vacha. So Shukdev Goswami, he gives a background to this conversation. So he will narrate the pastime of why Vidur Maharaj first of all left the kingdom of Kurus, why he left Hastinapur. Then when he left Hastinapur, that's when he met Uddhavji, who directed him to Maitreya Rishi. So he starts over there. He starts with why Vidur left Hastinapur. So you're getting the plot? You're getting the storyline? Okay? Okay, so Shri Shuka Vach, text 6. Yadatu Raja Swasutana Sadhun Pushnan Dharmena Vinashta Drishti Bhaturyavisthasya Sutan Vibandhun Praveshya Laksha Bhavane Dadaha. So he says King Dhritarashtra, Raja Dhritarashtra, Swasutana Sadhun. His sons were asadhu, his sons were impious, but he became blind. So Dhritarashtra was not just...
she's not calling it. I'm keeping it on.
Okay. Dhritarashtra was not just physically blind. Dhritarashtra, he was not just physically blind, but he had also become blind because of the influence of his impious sons. Okay. So, Vinashta Drishti, he lost his vision. And because of that, he allowed his sons to set fire to the Laksha Bhavane, to the Laksha Graha, to the lacquer house, so that the Pandavas would get burned. So when Pandavas were young and they were in the forest, Duryodhana and company, they built a Laksha Graha for them. You know, Laksha, they use it in bangles, very easily inflammable. Okay, so they did that, and they wanted to burn the Pandavas, but Vidur, he intervened and he got the Pandavas out before the fire. And then what did they do? Yada sabhayam kurudeva devya keshabhimarsham sutakarma garyam. Then they insulted Draupadi in the gambling match. They caught her hair. And even though she was crying, so that was another great offense they did. Then Dyute sattva dharmena jitasya sadho satyavalambasya vanam gatasya nayachito data sammayena dayam tamojushano yadajata shatru. Ajata shatru means, Ajat means not born, Shatru means enemy. So Ajat Shatru means one whose enemy does not exist. So that is King Yudhishthir. King Yudhishthir was such a gentleman that he did not give reason to anyone to become his enemy. But the nature of the world is such that people become envious even towards a saintly king. So King Yudhishthir, Dyutve tva adharmena jitasya sadhu, he was defeated unfairly in gambling. But because he had taken a vow that if I lose this gambling match, I will go into the forest, he went to the forest. But when that exile ended, he came and he asked for his share of the kingdom. But again, Dhritarashtra, he refused it, being blinded by the influence of his sons. So what is being established is that the Pandavas, they were repeatedly the victims of injustice by Kauravas. Okay. Then, so the Pandavas, the Kauravas said, we are not giving anything to you, Pandav. So the Pandav, they sent Krishna as a peace messenger. Yada cha partha prahitam sabhayam jagadgururyani jagad Krishna. So, who is Jagadguru? Krishna. Partha, Arjun requested that, please go and try to have a truce. So Krishna, he said that just give 5 villages. These 5 brothers are Kshatriyas. They are kings. So to do their occupational duty, they need some kingdom, some subjects. So even 5 villages are okay. But Duryodhan, he refused even that. So they did not take the words of Krishna seriously. In fact, Duryodhan tried to imprison Krishna, to bind Krishna, and Krishna showed him the Virat form. And even then, Duryodhan was not persuaded. So, at this point, Dhritarashtra invites Vidur for consultation. Vidur, his younger brother, he was also his chief minister, his advisor in the court. Yadupahuto bhavanam pravishto mantraya prishta kila purvajena. So mantraya, mantri means mantrana, the one with whom you can have mantrana, consultation. See, in our life, we are bound to face difficult situations. We are bound to make difficult decisions. In psychiatry, we have a saying that the situations are always gray, but the decisions have to be black or white. You have to say yes or no. You cannot stay in between. Okay? But the situations may not have a clear answer. So therefore, we need to consult others. I will see the situation from one perspective, but other people can see it from different perspectives. So we should always take the view of different people who are learned, people who are well-wishers, people who are wise. They can tell us that, no, listen, Deenbandhu, this situation you should also see like this. So Dhritarashtra, he wanted to do a mantrana. He wanted to consult Vidur because he knew that Vidur was his well-wisher, he was saintly, and he will give good advice. So now this war is going to happen. So Dhritarashtra, he invited Vidur for consultation. And Athaha tan mantra drisham variyan yantram mantrino vedurikam vadanti. So Vidur is well known. His instructions are approved by expert ministers of state. You all have heard of Chanakya Niti. The instructions by Chanakya for diplomacy. And, yeah. So similarly, there is Vidur Niti. They are not very famous as Chanakya Niti, but Vidur has also given very nice instructions on how to conduct one's personal life and also for political situations. So I was speaking to one devotee, and at that time I was reading Chanakya Niti. I was reading some verses because Prabhupada quotes some verses of Chanakya here and there. So I was reading Chanakya Niti. So he actually told me that you should also read Vidur Niti, because Vidur was a devotee of Krishna, so his instructions are more valuable. So that is what referred here, that his advice is well known and his instructions are approved by expert ministers of state. So Dhritarashtra, he invites Vidur for consultation. So Vidur Maharaj, he says, Ajatashatro pariyachadayam titikshato durvishaham tavaga sahanujo yatra vrikodarahi shvasan rushayatvamalam vibheshi. So Vidur says, my advice is very clear. Whatever is the rightful share of Yudhishthir, you should give it back to him. जिसका जो हक है उसे आप वापस दे दीजिए. One should not, in my life I've always followed this advice. One should not fight for money, for position, for name. These are material things. If I've got this much energy, if I've got this much life remaining, what is the point in fighting for some material useless things? And especially if it is somebody's rightful share, why should we usurp it? We are trying to lead a simple spiritual life. What is the use if we are hurting someone else? Okay. So Vidur says, listen, throughout the life of the Pandavas, you have harassed them. You sent them to Lakshagra, you insulted their wife, you exiled them, and now they are asking for the rightful share, just 5 villages. What's the big deal? Just give them 5 villages. Because Yudhishthir, he has been titikshato. He has been patiently tolerating. You gave him all these sufferings. He did not retaliate. They could have fought the war right in the beginning, but they are tolerating it. And if you are not afraid of Yudhishthir, you may think, oh, he is saintly, he will not retaliate. I'm sure you are afraid of his brother Bhima, because he is breathing heavily like a snake. He wants revenge. The only thing which is stopping him is his elder brother. So in either situation, it is best that you give Pandavas the rightful share. And the other point you have to consider, Dhritarashtra Maharaj, is who is with them. Parthanstu devo bhagavan mukundo grihitavan sakshiti deva deva. The Supreme Lord Krishna, he is present with them. God himself is with them. And along with them, Yadu Deva Devu, the whole Yadu dynasty. And the Yadus, they have defeated everyone. So they have a lot of kings under them. So you are taking a fight with people who are really powerful. Yudhishthir Maharaj has the strength of religion. Bhima has the strength of his anger. And they have association of the Supreme Lord himself, who will come with Yadu dynasty. What do you have? You have just a dharma on your side. You are falsely claiming their kingdom. So Vidur Maharaj, he explains it very nicely to King Dhritarashtra. And then he says that your biggest offense is Esha Dosha Purushad Vidaste Grihan Pravishto Yamapatyamatya. What you are doing is, you have in your house Duryodhan, who is envious of Lord Krishna. And because he is a non-devotee, you are devoid of all auspicious qualities. So he says, Tejashva Vaishyavam Kula Kaushalaya. If you want any good for your family, अपने परिवार, अपने कुल का कौशल चाहते हैं आप, so get rid of your son. Okay, sometimes because of situations, we may have a family member who is actually causing a lot of problems, who becomes envious of the Lord himself. Then that because of the offenses of one person, the whole dynasty suffers. It is said that if you have one devotee in your family, 21 generations are liberated. But if you have one offender of the Lord and his devotees, then it causes suffering to the whole family. So best is, stay away. So Vidur Maharaj, he gives this advice to King Dhritarashtra, explaining him from various perspectives. how he can end this war and how he can bring good to his family. Because ultimately Dhritarashtra is the eldest brother. So he has a responsibility not just towards his own sons, but also towards his younger brother's sons. He is the king, so he should take a decision not biased by affection for his sons. Okay. So Vidur, when he was speaking like this, Duryodhan became angry because Vidur advised Dhritarashtra not to fight and also to give up Duryodhan. So Duryodhan at that time, Sakarna Anuja Saubalena. At that time, Duryodhan was standing there with Karna, his younger brothers, and his uncle Shakuni, his mama Shakuni. So he becomes very angry, and in anger, he says some very hurtful words. Ka ena mantro pajuhav jivvam dasyasuta yat balineva pushta tasmin pratipa parakritya aste nirvasyatama shupurachava vasana. So he insults him in three ways. Duryodhan, he speaks loudly, and he insults Vidur Maharaj in three ways. So first of all, he says that Ka ena matro, who called him for consultation? He is not qualified. He is Dasya Sutta. He is the son of a mistress. Okay, so Vidur Maharaj's birth is being insulted here. ये तो दासी पुत्र है, इनको किसने बुलाना? He is not from a royal family. Okay, so that is how his birth is being insulted. Then he says that parakritya aste, he is spying in the interest of enemy against those on whose support he has grown up. We have supported him, but now he is spying on us for his enemies. So his actions are being criticized, that he is not a loyal person. And then the third way, nirvasyatam ashu, that, chuck him out and leave him, puracha vasana. So when you kick him out, just leave him with his breath. So let him live, but exile him. So then Duryodhan is insulting him with the punishment as well. So for someone who is respected, Krishna says in 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, dishonor is worse than death. Okay. So thus being pierced by arrows through his ears and afflicted to the core of his heart, Vidur placed his bow on the door and quit his brother's palace. अपना धनुष धृतराष्ट्र के राजगृह के बाहर रख के he left the palace. And how was he feeling? Gata vyatho ya durumanayana. Gata vyatha. He was not at all distressed. He was not at all sorry, because he considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme. So this is the distinction of a devotee. A devotee, when he is placed in difficult circumstances, when he is insulted, when he is exiled, he is not distressed. He says, okay, the Lord's energy works in different ways. There is another incidence of Arjun. Arjun, he defeated everyone in Mahabharata. He defeated great warriors. But later on, when he was bringing the queens of Krishna from Dwarka to Hastinapur, after Krishna had left away, he was attacked by a group of tribal people and they defeated Arjun. So that time also Arjun says that I won in Mahabharata against great heroes because of the mercy of the Lord. And now when Krishna wants, I have been defeated by ordinary tribal people. So a devotee, he is not proud if there are any accomplishments, and he is not distressed when he is put into difficulty. Recently, we did a course on Bhagavad Gita, and one person was asking me, what are some of the important concepts in Bhagavad Gita? And I said, one of the important concepts is that Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. In second chapter of Gita, Krishna defines yoga as samatvam, to remain equal in happiness or distress, victory or failure, honor or dishonor. So we have to remain equipoised, neither happy when someone praises, nor distressed when someone insults. So here Vidur is being insulted and he's thrown out. He served the royal palace throughout his life. But then in one moment, he is exiled just for giving good advice. He didn't do anything wrong over there. Dhritarashtra asked him for advice and he gave some honest advice. But Dhritarashtra's son does not like him. So for no fault of Vidur, he is being chucked out. Okay. So he says, no problem, gatavyatho, I am not bothered. This is, the Lord's plan ultimately. So devotee, he makes the best use of a bad situation. Prabhupada says to make a bargain from a bad situation. So situation may be bad, but a devotee knows how to make good out of it. So Vidur, he thought, okay, I've been insulted, I've been chucked out of the royal palace. This is actually good, because now what can I do? Tirth padak padani. So he says that now I will travel to all the holy places of pilgrimages, which are the Lord's lotus feet. So there are 9 principles of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam. Padasevanam means two things. One is to serve the Lord's lotus feet, like Lakshmi ji does. She massages the Lord's lotus feet. Padasevanam also means to travel to all the holy places of the Lord, to go on pilgrimage. So he says, okay, now I have been relieved of royal duties. Previously I could not travel so much. Now I will go to all the holy places. I don't have any obligations now. So he took shelter of many places of pilgrimages. With a desire to gain a high order of pious life, he traveled to holy places where thousands of transcendental forms of the Lord are situated. So in India, there are so many holy places where various devotees, they have installed temples of the Lord, where the Lord has himself performed pastimes, where there are holy rivers, where there are a lot of saintly people who are still living there. So Vidur Maharaj said, okay, my retirement has begun. Let me make use of it by gaining some high piety by traveling to the holy places. So in text 18 it is described that he began to travel alone and thinking only of Krishna. He went to places like Ayodhya, Dwarka, Mathura. He traveled where the grove, hill, orchard, river, lake are all pure and sinless, and where the forms of Lord decorate the temples. So he began traveling to all these holy places. And whilst traveling, he simply performed duties. Vritani chere harito shanani. He just performed duties to please the Supreme Lord. So Vidur Maharaj is engaging in pure devotional service. He took bath in holy places. Alakshita swear avadhuta vesho. He was in the dress of an avadhut, a mendicant, and had no hairdressing nor a bed on which to lie. Thus he was unseen, alakshita. He was unseen by his relatives. Vidur was a very famous person. So if he went as King Vidur to all these holy places, people would have recognized him. Kere Vidur Maharaja, हाँ आइए हमारे पास आइए प्रसाद के लिए आइए. They would have bothered him with so many things. So what did he do? He shaved his head, took the dress of a mendicant, and he was not even lying on a bed. So this is the way we should do pilgrimage. When we go to holy places, like recently we are discussing our travel to Vrindavan. So I'm planning to go to Vrindavan in March. Everyone is invited. If you want to come, just let me know. We are going for 2 weeks. So when we go to holy place, unfortunately what we do is we carry our mentality to the holy place. So we want comforts. So we want the same comforts in the holy places. Will I get an AC room? What kind of food will I get? How will I travel? So what happens is, when people in the mode of passion and ignorance go to holy places, they create that demand. So then in the holy places, all these profiteers, they come in and they say, okay, we'll make a nice hotel for you, we'll give you an AC car. And then they start doing construction, they start destroying the nature, the beauty of the holy place. Okay. It should be the reverse. The holy place, they have their own beauty, they have their own culture. So we should be going as a mendicant. We should be living simply there. We should not be posing extra burden on them. And we should be absorbing that mood. That is the way to visit the holy place. Otherwise, we will end up destroying the holy places. So Vidur Maharaj, perfect pilgrim, he is going to all the holy places in the dress of a mendicant. Shaved head means it's a sign of giving up that possessive mentality. I am not the doer, I am not the controller, I am not the possessor, and not seeking even a bed. So no one recognized that he was Vidur Maharaj, and incognito he went everywhere. So he went to all the holy places in India, in Bharatvarsha. He visited Prabhas Kshetra, and at that time, when he was doing the travel, the war of Mahabharat was over, and Maharaj Yudhishthir was the emperor. Okay, so all that had been accomplished. So in Prabhas Kshetra, he realized, he got the news that the war of Mahabharat had taken place and all his relatives were dead. All the Kauravas had died. So he got that news. So anyway, he got the news. After that, he proceeded towards the west, where river Saraswati flows. And then on the banks of the river Saraswati, he visited 11 places of pilgrimage. These are mentioned in text 22. And again, he was visiting all the temples and thus always remembering Krishna. And finally, he went through places like Surat. Surat is mentioned in text 24 in Gujarat. Okay. Surashtram Riddham. So he went through the western part of India, and at last he reached Kalena Tavad Yamunam Upetya. He reached the banks of river Yamuna, Tatrodhavam Bhagavatam Dadarsha. There he met Uddhav Maharaj. Okay. So you got the background to how Vidurji met Uddhav. Okay. Dhritarashtra insulted Vidur. Vidur, being a devotee, he made a very good use of that situation, traveled to all the holy places. At Prabhas Kshetra, he learns that, my family members are dead in the battle of Mahabharata. He proceeds towards the west and then to the north, and he comes to Vrindavan, where on the banks of Yamuna he meets Uddhav Maharaj. Okay, so there he meets Uddhav. सवासुदेवानुचरं प्रशान्तं बृहस्पतिः प्राकतनयं प्रतीतम् आलिङ्ग्य गाढं प्रणयेन भद्रं स्वानां पृच्छत् भगवतः प्रजानाम्. So, due to great love and feeling, pratitam, alingya gadam pranayena bhadram, because of great feeling, Vidur embraced Uddhav Maharaj. As soon as he saw Uddhav, King Vidur embraced him with great affection. Now, Uddhav, as I said, he was a cousin of Krishna. In fact, Uddhav had the same complexion and appearance as Krishna. He was bluish in complexion, and many people mistook him for Krishna. Both of them, they looked very similar. And he was a student of Brihaspati. So he was very learned as well. In my first introduction to the pastimes of Uddhav was in a poem in Hindi class in my school, where Uddhav goes to meet the gopis, and because he's a student of Brihaspati, he's very learned. He advises the gopis in Vrindavan that why are you so disturbed by the separation of Krishna? Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He's situated in your heart as well. And then I will teach you meditation. I will teach you yoga. I will give you the knowledge, that Gyan, by which you can see Krishna in your heart. So the gopis say that, Uddhav, our problem is different. It is actually the opposite. We want to get rid of Krishna from our heart, but he is always there in our heart, and that causes great pain to us because we cannot see him. So that time Uddhav realizes that these gopis are so elevated devotees. I am trying to see Krishna in my heart because I can't see Krishna. They are seeing Krishna constantly and they want to get rid of him. So that time he realizes that love for Krishna is higher than knowledge of Krishna. So then he prays to the gopis that please let me become a small grass or a creeper in Vrindavan, so that when you walk, your feet will touch upon my head. I will get the dust of your lotus feet. So we are planning to go to Govardhan, and there is Uddhav Kund over there, where Uddhavji still resides as a grass or a creeper, and he gets the dust of the gopis on his head. So Vidur Maharaj, he knows how dear Uddhav is to Krishna and how such a great devotee Uddhav is. So he embraces him, and then he says, I have been traveling for such a long time. Please tell me about Krishna and his extended friends and families and devotees. What is the news? Because Vidur has just heard that Mahabharata war has ended and all Kauravas are dead. So he wants to know what's going on with Krishna and the Yadu dynasty. So out of great eagerness, Vidurji, he is asking Uddhav Maharaj in text 26 that how are they doing? Krishna and Balram. Kritakshano Kushalam Shuragehe. They are staying in the house of Shursen, in the kingdom of Shursen. How are they doing? And how is Vasudev doing? And like that he says, how is Pradyumna? How is Aniruddha? And like that he's asking about all the families and family members of Krishna and the Yadu dynasty. So he then asks about Maharaj Yudhishthir and his brothers as well. So from text 36 onwards, he asks about Pandavas. So he's asking Uddhav about both the Yadu dynasty and about the Pandavas. So I will skip those verses. So this goes on till the end of the chapter, and Vidur Maharaj wants to know how everyone is doing. Okay. So we'll go to the next chapter, chapter 2. So text 1, chapter 2, canto 3, Shri Shukha Uvacha Iti Bhagavata Prishta Kshatravartam Priyashrayam Prativaktum Nachotseha Autkantyasma Riteshwara. So when Vidur Maharaj asked Uddhav to speak about Lord Krishna and his family, Uddhav was unable to answer immediately because of excessive anxiety at the remembrance of the Lord. Because he remembered Krishna and all the topics about him, he became very anxious, utkantha, very agitated at the remembrance of the Lord. Because while Uddhav is such a devotee, in text 2 it is said, Yaha panchahayano matra pratarashaya yachita tanne chhatra chayanyasya saparyam bala leelaya. Even at the age of 5 years, he was so much absorbed in thinking of Krishna that when his mother called for breakfast, he did not wish to have it. Even 5 years old, he had such intensity. Mother is calling for breakfast and he is not interested. So from childhood, he served Lord Krishna. And now in his older age, also that devotion, that love, that attitude of service had not slackened. So as soon as he was asked about Krishna, he remembered everything about him. Samuhurtam bhut tushnim krishangri sudhya bhrisham. For a moment, he became silent. I don't know if you have experienced sometimes that when suddenly you get flooded with emotions, then you become dead silent and your body does not move. So that happened, and he became absorbed in the nectar of remembering the lotus feet of the Lord in ecstasy. And he appeared Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Nimagna Sadhana Vivrita. He became so absorbed in remembering the Lord like that. So text 5 of chapter 2. So what did Vidur observe? Vidur observed that Uddhavji was manifesting all the ecstatic symptoms and he was trying to wipe away tears of separation. So we could understand, what's the quality of this devotee. So then, after a few moments, Uddhavji came back to his consciousness, external consciousness, and he spoke to Vidurji. Vidurji wants to know about Krishna, and the Pandavas. So Uddhavji, he starts saying. So first of all, he says, Uddhav Uvacha, text 7. Krishna Dyumani Nimloche Kirshneswa Jagarenaha Kim Nunah Kushalam Bruyam Gatashrishu Gaheshwaham. So he says, my dear Vidur, the sun of the world, Lord Krishna has set, and our house has now been swallowed by the great snake of time. What can I tell you about our Kushalam, about our welfare? So Krishna has left, and the whole Yadu dynasty is now has now disappeared. The great snake of time has swallowed. So what else can I say? And he says that because now Krishna has left, he has wound up his pastimes. The whole universe has become durbhago. We have all become very unfortunate. But more than the universe with all its inhabitants, more than that, Yadavo Nitaramapi. The Yadavas are even more unfortunate.
Yeah.
Why they are more unfortunate?
No, your voice not coming, Prabhuji.
Okay. Is it better now?
No.
No?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. So I'll repeat. Uddhavji is telling Vidur that Krishna has wound up his pastime. So the whole world is very sad and unfortunate. But even more unfortunate are the Yadu dynasty. Why? Because Krishna was with them all this time, but they could not understand that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And the example is given, Meena Ivodupam, any more than the fish could identify the moon. What is the relation between fish and the moon?
The fish thinks the moon is just like another fish, bit shiny.
Yes, correct. Because both of them are born from the ocean. So the fish is thinking, moon is my sibling. I am in the ocean, he is in the sky. That's it. But my sibling. Fish does not understand the glories of the moon. How effulgent, how big, how powerful, how wonderful the moon is. So similarly, the Yadus are thinking, oh, Krishna, he is one of us. Same family. But they do not realize, how wonderful Krishna is. So he's saying they are even more unfortunate. Sorry. Yes. So, I'm just selecting a few verses because a lot of pastimes are here in this chapter. So from text 16, so by describing first the opulences of Krishna and his supreme position, Uddhavji will now narrate all the pastimes of Krishna, right from his appearance to his disappearance. In this chapter, his pastimes of Vrindavan are discussed. Okay, so from his appearance in the prison house to his pastimes with the gopis, they are discussed. In third chapter, his pastimes outside of Vrindavan are discussed. How he went to Mathura, killed Kamsa, then he went to Dwarka, he performed various pastimes, and then his winding up pastimes are discussed. So we will discuss Vrindavan pastimes here. So in text 16, he is saying that Janma Vidambanam Yad Vasudeva Gehe, that Krishna he is unborn, but he took his appearance in the prison house of Vasudeva. So this is very interesting. In Janmashtami, I am often asked that when I tell my colleagues in the hospital that tomorrow we'll be celebrating the birth of Krishna. So they say, who is Krishna? So I'll say, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He is God. So the next question is, how can God take birth? So then I tell them, not only does he take birth, he takes birth in prison. And then they are even more surprised. So that is called Vidambanam. It is really amazing how Krishna, he performs these wonderful pastimes, inconceivable pastimes. And when Krishna is born, he is God, but Vasudeva is thinking, oh, Kamsa will kill him. So he takes him to Nanda Maharaj. Vraje cha vasoya bhayad ivam swayam. Out of fear of Kamsa. This is how the Lord's devotees, they want to protect God. Even though Krishna may come as their son, they are thinking, oh, he's a small baby, I have to protect him. So then Vasudeva took him from the prison house to the house of Nanda Maharaj. And then later on, when Krishna and Balram, they freed Vasudeva and Devaki, then they said that they told Vasudeva and Devaki that, O mother, O father, please excuse us that we were unable to serve you. You are our parents, but we were not able to serve you because we were away from you. So remembering all this, Uddhav is saying, this is giving me so much pain of separation from Krishna. So one of the qualities of Krishna is being mentioned in verses 19 and 20. Very beautiful quality. We will discuss that for a few minutes. Uddhav is telling Vidur that, Vidur, you remember Yudhishthir Maharaj did a Rajsuya sacrifice. And at that time, everyone was discussing who should be made the head, the chief personality, like the chief guest. The position of chief guest is given to someone who is the best among all the participants. So who will be the chief guest? And everyone agreed that Krishna will be the chief guest. So at that time, Shishupal, he became very furious and he started blaspheming Krishna. So what did Krishna do? He took his Sudarshan Chakra and he beheaded him. But because he was killed by the Lord, everyone saw that Shishupal's soul merged into that of Krishna. Okay. So, Drishtva bhavadbhir nanuraj suye chaidasya krishnam dvishatopi siddhi. Chaidya, Shishupal, Krishnam dvishatopi. Even though he was envious of Krishna, he got the siddhi, he got liberated. Now compare this to Yam yogina samsprihayanti samyad yogena kastvad viraham saheta. But yogis who are trying to merge into Krishna, they are not able to do. They are not able to get that position even after millions of births of tapasya. So yogis who are saintly people, who are well behaved, they never blaspheme Krishna. They try for a long time and yet they are unable to achieve Krishna. Here Shishupal, by blaspheming Krishna and by being killed by Krishna, he achieves that destination without fail. That is the power of associating with Krishna. So the next example is given in text 20. Tatheva chanye naraloka veera ya ahave Krishna mukhar vindam netre pibanto nayanabhiramam parthas traputa. adama purasya. The other example is of the soldiers who were fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Okay. So Arjun is fighting with the Kauravas. He's shooting arrows one by one. All the soldiers on the sides of Kauravas are getting shot by the arrows. But what is the advantage of those soldiers? They are able to see the beautiful face of Krishna while dying. Arjun is shooting arrows, but they are looking at the beautiful face of Krishna. And they are dying seeing Krishna. And they achieved the abode of the Lord. They went to Vaikuntha. Okay, so they are fighting with Arjun, but they are going back to the abode of the Lord. So, text 23, the third example is given, which is in the superlative. Aho bakiyam stanakalakutam jidham sayapayadapya sadhavi lebhe gatim dhatrichitam tatonyam kamva dayalum sharanam brajema. Very famous verse. It has been quoted by Prabhupada and many different acharyas. So, the example here is given of Baki. Baki is the sister of Bakasur. And Baki is famously known as Putana. You would remember the story of Putana. So, Putana was the sister of Bakasur. Another name was Baki. So, Putana came to kill Krishna. Aho Pakiyam Stanakalakutam. On her breast, she had applied deadly poison. And she was a sadhavi. She was a demoness. But what was the destination given to Putana? Krishna killed Putana. Krishna sucked her milk, also sucked the poison, also sucked the life air out of her, and gave her the position of Lebhe Gatim. Her destination was Dhatri Uchitam. Her destination was of a mother, of a Dhatri. So mother gives birth to the child, Dhatri breastfeeds the child. So the position of a mother was given to Putna. So Uddhav is saying, Kamva Dayalum Sharanam Vrajema. Can you find anyone more merciful to take shelter of than Krishna? So the nature of Krishna, try to understand. I am a psychiatrist. We also have here Dr. Shashi Singhal. She's a psychiatrist as well. We like to study the mind. So try to understand the mind of Krishna. Krishna is saying, Shishupal, you are blaspheming me. I will give you liberation. The soldiers, you are throwing arrows at me and Arjun. I will take you to Vaikuntha. And Putana, you have come to kill me, but I will give you the position of my mother. That is the nature of Krishna. In whatever way we approach Krishna, Krishna only picks up the positive. He did not see that Putana has come to kill me. He saw that Putana has come to feed me milk. So therefore she should be given the position of a mother. So that is the nature of Krishna. Whatever, we are all faulty. I was speaking to one devotee, Brajraj Prabhu. He said, what is the nature of water? Water always goes down. That is the nature of water. So we are like that. We will always go down. Our qualities are always going down. But sometimes you see water going up. Do you see sometimes water going up? Have you seen water going from, we all have seen, in a fountain. In a fountain, water goes from lower level to higher level. Why is that? Because it is powered by a machine. So similarly, the nature of the Jivatma is to go down. But if you see some good qualities in a Jivatma, you should understand that the motor of Krishna's mercy is over there. That is why someone is manifesting good qualities, especially in Kali Yuga. So, the nature of the Lord is that He will always look at our good qualities, even though we may have thousands and millions of faults in us. That is the nature of Krishna. So Uddhavji is asking a question. Kamva dayalum sharanam vrajema. So do you find anyone else you can take shelter of? Is there anyone better than Krishna that you can take shelter of? All other incarnations of the Lord, or all the people of this world, all the powerful people of this world, they will only give you shelter as long as you are favorable to them. As long as you become unfavorable, you insult your parents, they'll kick you out. You insult your teachers, they'll fail you in the exams. You insult a police officer, he'll give you double the beating. Okay. You insult a powerful person, he'll make your life hell. Okay. That is the nature of the material world. But with Krishna, even though you may be insulting Krishna, you may be shooting arrows at Krishna, you may be going with poison to Krishna, He will deliver you. That is the nature of the Lord, and therefore one should take shelter of Krishna. Very important point, very beautiful point. And this particular verse, text 23, I would request if you can memorize that verse. Whenever you are in difficulty, whenever you think you have no hope, then you can recite this verse. That Krishna, He gave the position of mother to Putna. So I have scope. So text 24. What is Uddhav's conclusion? When he looks at these three examples, what is his conclusion? Manye suran bhagavatam stridhishe samrambha marga binivishta chittan. He says, I consider the demons who are inimical toward the Lord to be more than the devotees. Uddhav is saying, भगवान के भक्तों से तो बड़े ये असुर निकले. Okay. In comparison, it's not that these demons are better than devotees, but Uddhav, he is making a point here. He says, looking at these three examples, I think that the demons who are inimical towards the Lord are more than the devotees, because when they are fighting with the Lord, they are able to see the Lord, who is carrying Sudarshan in his hand. Like that. So he's saying they are getting darshan of the Lord directly because they are fighting with him face to face. Similarly, Narad Muni says in the incidents of Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu, he says that Hiranyakashipu, he was always thinking of Narayan. We find the same problem with Kansa. When Kansa realizes that Krishna has appeared, he is always thinking of Krishna. Sleeping, waking, he sees Krishna in everything. So Narad Muni says, the intensity that these demons have of remembering Krishna is sometimes better than that of devotees. We claim ourselves to be devotees, we don't think of Krishna that much. But sometimes I have seen, my atheist friends, they're always discussing about God, more than, what a devotee is discussing. So Krishna, he takes only the positive attributes of a person. That is what is mentioned in these verses. So like that, he continues by describing various pastimes of the Lord. That how as a child he was giving pleasure to the residents in Vrindavan. He was playing with all the cowherd boys. He was playing his flute. He was enlivening the cows. And sometimes Kansa would send various demons like Kalia and others. Sorry, like Vrittasur and others, and they were easily killed by Krishna. And then he remembers the pastime of Kaliya Nag. He remembers the pastime of Govardhan Leela, how Krishna lifted up Govardhan hill and protected all the residents from the wrath of Indra. And then he concludes in text 34 by saying that Sharat Shashik Karer Mrishtam Manayan Rajni Mukham Gayan Kalpadam Reme Strina Mandala Mandana. And then in Sharad Ritu, in autumn season, he had Ras Leela with all his cowherd girlfriends in Vrindavan. So like this, Krishna performed beautiful pastimes in Vrindavan. So because Uddhav is so distressed upon the separation of Krishna, he is now remembering Krishna's pastimes to give solace to himself and to Vidur. Sometimes when you are separated from a person, you remember all the good things that person has done, and that reduces the intensity of pain. So this is how Uddhavji is trying to console himself and Vidur. So next time we will discuss the pastimes in Mathura and Dwarka, especially the pastime of how Krishna and the Yadu dynasty, they wound up their pastimes. And then Uddhav ji will tell Vidur, I cannot speak more. So you please go and speak to Maitreya Rishi who is nearby, and you continue the discussion about Krishna with him. Then the whole of third canto is a conversation between Vidur and Maitreya Rishi, where they will discuss other pastimes of Krishna. Okay, so to summarize, today we've discussed Canto 3, Chapter 1 and 2 of Shrimad Bhagavatam, where we discussed how Vidur gives good advice to Dhritarashtra, but Duryodhan kicks him out. Vidur then takes the opportunity to travel to all the holy places, and then he meets Uddhavji in Vrindavan on the banks of Yamuna and asks Uddhav how are Pandavas and Yadavas. So Uddhav informs him about the departure of Krishna, and then he narrates all the pastimes. One of the important points we discussed today was how Krishna is so merciful that even though we may approach him with negativity, like envy, like becoming envious of him or trying to even give him poison, Krishna accepts the positive in us. So therefore we should always take shelter of Krishna. Okay. So we'll stop here. If there are any comments or questions, we can discuss them. Kavita Mataji, I think you are on mute. Yes, ma'am.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the question. I was just thinking, to summarize, we have discussed Bhakti, Putana, and Shishupal as an example of demons who were enemies to Lord, but he had given him good position after death. So only two, and after that, Hiranyakashipu and Kansa. Anybody, along with Putana and Shishupal, you told one more?
The soldiers on the battlefield of Kurukshetra.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm just trying to summarize in my head.
Yeah, so actually Kavita Mataji has some mystic powers. Few days ago, she messaged me to say we should have this session online because of the weather, and I was saying no, we should meet in person. It is a lot better that way. But then, Krishna has fulfilled the desire of Mataji. We are having
Oh my
this
God.
this session online.
I was thinking that actually because you wanted to take a face-to-face session, and I didn't knew that this is just online. I thought you all are there, and I am the only one here.
Okay.
But when I see faces,
No,
I understood that.
we cancelled it. But I always think, meeting in person, and then we can have kirtan, prasadam, we can have a bit of discussions as well. But next time, hopefully, weather will improve by then, so we will have it in person. But yes, so with Krishna, see, there is one devotee, Dasarathi Prabhu from South India. Ram Prabhu knows him very well. So he was once saying that Haribol Prabhuji, yes. So there are two qualities which should be present in someone if we have to take shelter. If I have to take shelter of someone, they should have two qualities. One is they should have strength, and secondly, they should be merciful. If someone is only merciful but not strong, then he will not be able to protect me. If someone is only strong and not merciful, then he may not want to protect me. Krishna is both. Krishna is strong and merciful. So if you take shelter of Krishna, then you are in the right place. Okay. Sometimes, when a child is in distress, he may go to his parents. Parents may be merciful, but they may not be strong enough to solve that situation. And sometimes, people go to police station for protection. Police may be strong, but they may not be inclined to help you out. So in both these situations, you are not getting the resolution you want. But Krishna is both strong and merciful. No one is stronger than him, no one is more merciful than him. So if we have to take shelter of anyone, then we should not waste our time here and there. We should take shelter of Krishna. Okay. Shall we stop here then? And no problem.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. And as I said, we are planning to go to Vrindavan in March for 2 weeks. If you want to join, then let me know in the next few days, because I'll be making the accommodation and all the bookings. If you want to know more detail, just drop me a message or call me tomorrow. We can discuss. Okay. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.